Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? We are going to be testing some drugstore makeup that y'all said is better than indie makeup. I recently did a video where I talked about a bunch of drugstore favorites and I got so many comments saying I needed to try these two eyeshadow palettes from Flower Beauty, and one comment even went as far as to say that these are better than the indie eyeshadows that they've tried, and that just completely grabbed my attention. I was like, okay, I have got to test out these eyeshadow palettes. They are $20 each, so definitely not the most affordable eyeshadow palette from the drugstore, but I grabbed mine from Ulta and I was able to use some reward points, use some coupons, and I got them down to like $16 each or something like that. While we're here and we're testing this out, we may as well try some other hyped up products from Flower Beauty. So I did grab their Get Real Serum, Concealer, and Foundation to test out with y'all today. And you guys know I'm a pink blush lover, so when I saw this blush, this pink beautiful blush, I already swatched it. It's so pretty. I knew I had to give that a chance too. So it is a Flower Beauty kind of day today, and hopefully these are some winning eyeshadow palettes. I kind of lost my train of thought because my cat is being crazy today. He is just all over the place and he's making a lot of noise and like jumping into the trash can and just doing the most. So I don't know what I was talking about, but we have the Desert Lights palette, which is a little bit more of like a rose gold neutral color story. Obviously this one did come broken, unfortunately. Ulta packaged it so terribly, like there was nothing to protect it at all, and it just came in a like little like package, like not even a box. But anyways, both palettes are all shimmers, so I might just throw some bronzer in the crease or something when we get to it. And then there's also the Jungle Lights palette. This one thankfully came intact, and this one has like a little bit more of like jewel toned pops of color. I will say, looking at them, they look sparkly, they look metallic, they look intense just in the pan. I can see the promise, so I just cannot wait to get my grubby little fingers in there. But first, let's start off with a little bit of a base because I really want to put some makeup on my face. So we're going to take this one step at a time. I did already go in with some moisturizer just to prime my skin a little bit. So we're going to start off with the Get Real Serum Foundation. It does say to shake it well before you use it. I grabbed the shade Porcelain, which I believe was the lightest shade, and it does look pretty warm in the bottle. I will say that on the website, they did not have any shade descriptions for the foundation or for the concealer, so I kind of just had to guesstimate. And normally what I do when I guesstimate is just get the lightest shade. I really, really want to love this, so I have high hopes. Okay, start off with like that much. Okay, the shade does not look bad. It looks, I mean, it still looks a little bit warm, but I think I can definitely work with that. So I'm just gonna kind of dot that all over my skin to start off with. I think I'm gonna use the BK Beauty 106 brush to blend that in because I like it with normally more lightweight foundations. It does say on the bottle that it is a medium buildable coverage and it has a natural radiant finish. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start blending that in a little bit. Ooh, it definitely is very fragranced. Will say that it smells like perfume, but that is so pretty. I would say it's giving a pretty natural light coverage, not like BB's cream tint light, but definitely a light foundation. The shade match is working better than I expected, and I would agree it's a natural finish on the skin. It has like a slight glow to it, but it is not uber glowy. I thought maybe it might be a little bit more glowy than it is. So now let's try out the Get Real Serum Concealer. This is the shade Porcelain again. It says it's a buildable coverage, hydrating, brightening, and smoothing. All right, so I'm just gonna put that on the very inner corner right here. Oh, that's definitely a lot more brightening than I thought it was gonna be. I am happy with that. Okay, I'm gonna put just a little bit on my nose and just highlight a few areas of my face. I am gonna go ahead and just try blending that out with my BK Beauty 212 because I've been into blending concealer out with a eyeshadow brush recently. So we'll do that real quick. And then on the other side, I'll try a concealer brush just to see. Okay, that shade match is perfect for a brightening moment. That actually has really good coverage. Like, you can almost not see my under eye circles at all. And for being such a light shade, I'm pretty impressed because, I mean, if you think about it, if you have dark circles underneath your eyes and you're a very pale person and you're going in with a white over that, like, I feel like even things that are claiming to be more coverage look like they're less coverage on really fair skin because there's less pigment to cover up with. Basically, I feel like most of the time when I go in with a super, super brightening concealer like this, I need to go in with an under eye corrector because even if it's really good coverage, it's still gonna show through some blue tones right here, but you can just, it's barely detectable. I told you guys I was gonna blend this side out with a different brush, but I kind of got so excited about how beautiful it looks that I forgot. I don't feel like it has a luminous finish to it. I feel like it looks almost matte underneath the eyes. I think it looks really good. I feel like the more I try from the drugstore recently, like I'm just so impressed. So let's go ahead and go in with some bronzer really quick so I can do the blush next. I'm gonna use the Glowish by Huda Beauty bronzer. This is the shade 01 Light. I actually don't know if I have any bronzers from the drugstore. Not anything that's come out recently. I might have something in the back of my stash, but I'm just gonna use this real quick. Okay, so like I said, I already swatched out this blush balm beforehand because I just could not wait. It is the shade BB3 Bubbly. I just saw the color and I thought it was so, so pretty, and I was hoping that purchasing it online, it would be just as beautiful in person, and it definitely is. It's a very soft, like baby pink with a tiny, tiny little bit of a purple, like lilac-y undertone to it. I would say it's mostly pink, but it has just a hint of purple. Look how pretty that is. Like just the color, and it definitely has a little glow to it. I feel like it looks like it'll blend out pretty easily. I'm just gonna take a good little drop of that. I'm not too worried about it being too pigmented because it seems like it does blend out pretty well, but I'll just put some drops on. Like, do you see like the purple undertone a little bit? Okay, it's more pigmented on the cheeks than I thought it was gonna be, but it's probably just because I'm tapping versus like blending. Look at that finish though. Look at that glow. Okay, so I'm gonna start off there. Actually, I might even go with a little bit more. I know it's already a lot, but just bear with me a second. One of my favorite things to do is to blend out a cream blush with whatever brush I use for my foundation. I feel like it just makes everything melt together. So just going in with that same BK Beauty brush, though I think this is the 108, right? No, 106. Just gonna blend that in. That softened pretty well. It has like that gorgeous finish. I am all about it. To prepare for the eyeshadow, I'm just gonna grab a little tiny bit of the P. Louise base. I really wanna use as many shades from the Desert Lights and Jungle Lights palette as possible, but I do wanna go in with just a touch of matte, so I'm gonna use the bronzer that I used on my face just with a blending brush, and I'm gonna start that off in my outer V and then just throw it through the crease. All right, y'all, let's start swatching. I think I'm gonna start off with the Jungle Lights palette because out of the two, that's the one that calls to me the most. So the very first shade that we have here is a really, ooh, okay. It is an intense gold and it's pretty metallic. It has like this like thick kind of finish to it. On first touch, it kind of reminds me of the JD Glow metallic shadows. Not like extremely sparkly, but very metallic and just creamy. We have a sparkly olive green, which again feels really nice. I could definitely see why you guys would say this does not feel quite like drugstore quality. And then we have this like coppery red. Ooh, it's so intense. It's like a penny copper. Ooh, that is pretty. Okay. Very intense. Like, I'm not trying at all. I'm just swatching like just a little bit, just like I always do. And they're a lot in the best way. Next, we have like a really soft kind of yellowy gold. It does look like it has some sparkles in it and it's just super, super pretty. Same formula. Everything feels really thick and creamy and metallic. I feel like swatched out, you cannot see the like sparkles as much. I almost feel like the sparkles are just the very top layer, but it is still uber metallic. We've got a purple, like a dark purple here with some sparkles in it. Super, super deep. And then we have this shade, which looks stunning. It's like this soft, purpley taupey shimmer. Look at her, she's stunning. Okay. I think that one might be my favorite shade. So, so pretty. So there's what it looks like swatched out up close. Now let's move on to the Desert Lights. I did have to repress both of these, and it seems like a little bit of this shade got into this one, unfortunately. So I feel like my swatch of this shade is not going to be like quite accurate because it's kind of a mixture. So if you are thinking about purchasing this one, I would definitely make sure to check out some other swatches before you decide on like this shade, because I don't know, I just did the best that I could because it was an absolute mess when it arrived. But the very first shade we have here is a pretty soft kind of rose gold. And then we have a true gold. It's just stunning. We have, let's see, this is kind of like just a bronzy shadow. This palette is definitely for the like neutral bronzy lovers. Oops, that's kind of a weird swatch, sorry. Ooh, look at that. Okay, next we have the Franken shadow. It's kind of mixture that's happening here. I almost like kind of like want to swatch like underneath more just to see. I think it's like a slightly deeper rose gold, but it looks almost the same as this one. So I think that's me. I think that's my fault. This one is like a pinky golden foiled shadow. It's honestly stunning. Like I could definitely see using that as a blush topper too. And these pans are big enough that you could do that no issue. And then lastly, we have like this like burgundy-esque brown satiny shade. Okay, so that one is a little bit darker than that shade. Look how pretty that is. I still feel like the Jungle Lights color story is my favorite. Ooh, but that is intense. And honestly, this one is more of a satin, and I could see using that like blown out in the outer V, and then using the other shades and getting away with not having any mattes. So there is some more up close swatches for y'all. You have to let me know what you think. Are you living for it or are you unimpressed? Okay, so adding to the look, I think I am gonna do what I said with this deeper satin right here. I'm just gonna grab that on my blendy brush, and I'm going to throw a little bit of that right on the outer V just for some depth. The pigmentation is definitely there, and slightly buff that out. Okay, that's blending really nicely actually. That was so easy. I feel like even if I didn't have the bronzer in my crease, I would be fine. Am I the only one who's obsessed with Drew Barrymore, by the way? Like I've always loved her, especially her and Adam Sandler. Like when I was a kid, I would watch their movies religiously. I actually watched 50 First Dates the other day for the first time, like as an adult. And I just like bawled my eyes out. I was like, this is probably like the most romantic movie ever. And nobody can disagree with me. But I've also been obsessing over the Drew Barrymore show on TikTok. I've been watching it mostly. She just seems so real and genuine. I also bought her a crock pot in her like home line that she's doing at Walmart, and it's a pretty good crock pot, I will say that. Out of both palettes, I feel like this pinky shade and the like purpley taupey shade, this one right here, were my favorite. So I kind of want to incorporate those two in this look, but I'm not exactly sure how it's gonna go. I'm gonna grab a tiny blending brush. This is from Blend Bunny, it's the B4, and I'm gonna go into that soft pinky shade, and I'm gonna pop that on my inner corner and then just kind of blend it up a little bit. This does have a little bit of like golden warmth to it, so I don't know if they're gonna mesh together perfectly, But I mean, pink and purple can be a very cute vibe. So I'm just gonna bring that up into my crease and just kind of on the inner like third of the lid. Actually, you guys, I have to stop for a second and just also put that over top of my blush because I'm so curious. I mean, it does have that like golden shift to it, but how beautiful is that? Kind of reminds me of like a slightly more pinky version of the glow shade in the Natasha Denona Daria blush palette, which I really love. Now I'm gonna pick up that purple and I am gonna just use it on my finger because even with indie shadows, that's typically what I do, especially with just a metallic. I like to throw it on my lid with my finger. So let's see, and just kind of tapping it up and out. Maybe let's keep going with the purple just a little bit. We can also do a touch of this deep purple along the lower lash line. I have the smallest pencil brush ever from What's Up Beauty. This is the R101. Super nice for anytime you're doing a darker shade on the lower lash line and you don't want it to get out of hand. So I'm just gonna throw that on just like the outer third just to connect, but actually it's very, very deep and I feel like it's just looking like a smoky black. I'm gonna go into a touch of the shimmery purple that we just used all over the lid and I'm just gonna pop that on the center of the lower lash line, leaving a little bit of space. I kind of want to pull in a little bit more of that rosiness, so I'm gonna go into this shade right here. The texture is definitely off with these two, but that's just because I had to repress it and I'm not good at that at all. I'm gonna finish this look up with some L'Oreal Lash Paradise on my lashes. And then lastly, I'm just taking a touch of these color drops, just a little tiny little bit. It does not say that you can use them on your lips, but why not? Just gonna add a touch of pink. Okay, so here is the look. Let's talk about my final thoughts, what we tried today. Starting off with the serum foundation. I do like this. I felt like the shade match was pretty good. It is a little bit more on the warm side, so if you are a more cool toned, fair person looking at the lightest shade, this might not work for you. I would definitely recommend going in store and swatching if you can. It is slightly less glowy than what I was expecting just hearing serum foundation, and honestly same with like serum concealer. I feel like I had a different vision in my mind, but in the end, I really like the way that it looks. It ended up giving a good light medium coverage, and I'm really happy with just like the finished look after doing the rest of my makeup. For the concealer, again, kind of a surprise that it's pretty matte underneath the eyes. Definitely a little bit lighter than it looks in the tube, but I am loving the coverage. Like, I'm genuinely so impressed, like how it looks natural, but also perfected at the same time. I don't have any creasing right now, which I haven't been wearing it for that long. So I'll definitely keep you guys updated in the future once I've worn these for longer days. And then as far as the blush balm goes, I'm obsessed. I love the finish. I love how it looked on the cheeks. I actually love the way it looks on the lips as well. So I'm very, very happy that I decided to give this a go. I feel like this shade is what I wanted the Milani Cheek Kiss Pink Flirt blush to be, but this one is so much more coral than it appears. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the eyeshadow palettes. After swatching them, after trying them, do I feel like these are better than indie eyeshadows? And I have to say, I'm not completely convinced. I do think these are really nice palettes, probably the best that I've tried from the drugstore. And if you're wanting like a just pretty classic metallic shimmer, these are stunning. And I could see like if this was really accessible for you, then like I would recommend them, like based on affordability, accessibility, being able to like pick them up in person, all of that I would give yeses to. But I feel like indie eyeshadows are definitely further along. These are all pretty standard metallic, like one-tone shades. And I feel like when I go into indie palettes, there's pretty much always duochromes and multi-chromes and shifts and sparkles and just like a little bit more happening than like a one-tone metallic shade. So I feel like for what they are beautiful, they are good quality. I would recommend them to you if you like a just plain metallic. And I do see myself reaching for these palettes again. Like I want to play with them more, but overall, I don't know that they're like just on the same level as indie shadows, but I think they're pretty good. Like I said, best that I've tried from the drugstore, not mad at it at all. That is everything for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.